We work hard, we play hard. We are gamerpreneurs. Individuals who have chosen to give up the security of a 9-to-5 in favor of getting to set our own hours, of doing the work that we want to do, and we refuse to give up the hobby that we grew up with in order to, quote, grow up. We have learned countless laws of life and sales from the games that we play, and we excel in everything we do. We see the wonder and glory in every interaction. We fit in awkwardly with the rest of the world because they don't understand our quirkiness, and we wear it as a badge of pride. We are focused, clear, and know what we want. We are gamerpreneurs, and we are taking over the world. Hey there, everybody. Welcome to the Gamerpreneur Podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Bradford Carlton. Today I have a very special guest with us. We have TerraMantis, aka Steve. Hi there, Steve.
Hey, how you doing?
I guess I should have asked, do you want me to call you Steve or TerraMantis?
Steve, please.
Steve, okay. So Steve, tell me a little bit about yourself.
I don't know what to tell you. I'm just a guy who plays games and uploads videos online.
I love it. See, that's exactly the kind of person I was looking to talk to. So what kind of stuff do you play? How long have you been doing it? Can you kind of, like, how do you put your stuff online?
I started putting up written medium, I'd say almost 10 years ago, or whenever Dragon Age 2 came out. That was sort of when I decided that I thought I wanted to start reviewing games and just talking about things and that type of stuff. So I don't remember when that was exactly, but it's been a while now.
What made you, what compelled you to decide to start doing that?
At that time, which is something I don't do anymore whatsoever, is I loved the first Dragon Age. I loved Origins. It's one of my favorite games ever made. And I thought part 2 really fell short of the original for a lot of reasons. And so actually I was pretty angry about it. I just wanted to go to the internet to be one of those, people yelling into the ether about something, which is something I don't do anymore whatsoever, which is what I was saying a minute ago. And it's really the only time I've ever done it. So, I mean, being is kind of what got me to the internet, or talking about something. But then, especially after starting to make content, I never did it again because it's such a negative thing. I don't understand it. At the time it made sense, but after creating content and things like that, I know how many hundreds of people work on a video game, and it's not good to just all over a bunch of people's hard work.
Let me kind of ask a question. Do you think there's any place for that kind of, I don't want to say venom, but the ability to express that side of it, so the negative side of it?
Yeah, I mean, the things I was writing were so in the first game you were playing the hero Ferelden, and then in the second game you were playing Hawk. And my things were like these big write-ups about, I was comparing the two and why one was an analytical thing on why one character was more compelling, the hero Ferelden, versus the way they told the story of Hawk. So I mean, it wasn't like I was just getting on there and spewing out troll stuff. I was doing what I thought was, analytical, my take on things and my observation of why it resonated with me. So if anything, it was constructive criticism. So yes, I think there's 100% room for constructive criticism, and there's tons of outlets that do that. But my last review was actually for Bloodborne in whenever that came out, 2016, I think, or 15, I'm not even sure. But I haven't done a review since then. Anyway, point is, yes, 100%.
Okay.
There's room for it for sure.
Okay,
can
you walk me through, how did you go from a critical essay to, a content creator? What was the progression that happened there?
I was just on different forums and stuff like Giant Bomb and GameSpot, and that's actually how GameSpot hires a lot of their people, is through forum contributors and things like that. That was never my goal. I wasn't like, I hope they hire me because I'm writing these things. I mean, that was sort of the start of it. That eventually turned into me, this was really in the infancy of YouTube. I mean, really, as as it being a even option for monetization and stuff like that. So this was, I don't know, 2010-ish or something like that. But anyway, I was writing stories like that, and then I just started watching all these other channels and thinking that I liked what they did, and I was just thinking to myself that I should try it, and to make a video. I had already been showing my written pieces to different outlets that were, like blog based and things like that online. And eventually I did get like a part-time journalism job for text media. I was watching all these YouTube videos and things, and I liked them a lot. And I eventually wanted to basically change my medium. I liked video so much better. I really resonate with, or visualization by verbalization. So like people, showing what you're talking about essentially. So I tried to make a video, and it was really horrible, like really bad, because I didn't know what I was doing. I had never video edited before. I had never recorded audio. I just knew I liked it. And then over a couple years of trying to become self-taught, I eventually got someone to hire me at a place called Classic Game Room on YouTube. And I worked at Classic Game Room Undertow, which was basically like their side channel, for about a year. And then something changed with YouTube's monetizations, where they were finally getting off of like the clicks model or whatever, and it was changing into, the retention model, sort of what it is now. And they were basically losing a lot of money because all of their channel was based off of, I had to fight to get a video that was 3 minutes long or longer. They were like, no, it's got to be 2 minutes. And all that stuff was changing, and they weren't making nearly as much income. Basically, they let me go, and that's when I started doing my own thing.
Okay. Now, and that was what, I mean, like 9 years ago?
Well, the first video I ever made, the one I said was awful, was for Skyrim. It was a Skyrim review. So that was 11/11/11. So
Okay.
it was
So,
right around there, a week or two within that release date, I'd say.
all right, so about 9 years ago. And in that time, your YouTube channel now has, when I checked this morning, it was 364,000 subscribers. Did you ever think it was going to take off like that?
I don't know. Maybe. I don't know what to say to that. I have zero expectations for almost anything I do. I have hopes for things, but I don't expect anything to do anything.
Let
Yeah.
me ask this. So you obviously you didn't have 300,000 subscribers when you first started. Did it start out slow? Like at what point did it start to grow?
There's definitely milestones that you reach that seem to push you further along in the search engine optimization of YouTube. Once you hit 1,000 is definitely 1,000 subscribers. And then another big one was around 3,000. Because, I mean, there was times where I was, there's times where I was just like, well, if I keep working on this, I'm getting like 10 subscribers a month or a week at this point. So that means I'm going to have, 40 new ones at the end of the month. And it's like, if I keep going, I'm going to have, whatever, a few more hundred by the end of the year. So, I mean, that was the way I was thinking about it at the time. So, I mean, there is definitely this there's a huge part of content creation where you're definitely working for nothing. So, I mean, I always remember this one point where I went out with my friends to a bonfire. And when I got home, I had like 56 new subscribers. And I was just like, wow, it blew my mind, and, I get that in an hour or so now. So things have changed for sure. But yeah, there's definitely these milestones that seem to start pushing you and propelling you forward. And I feel like 1,000 is one of them, and then 3,000 was one. And then 3,000 pushed me to 10,000 really quickly. But there's an element of perfect storm to it as well, as far as what you're covering and what's coming out at the time and what you're passionate about covering. So I was starting with, on my channel, it was for a year and a half straight, I did only Souls content, and then I think I hit that 10,000 mark, like I was saying, around right before the release of Dark Souls 2. And then I just dove into that really hard, and covered it a lot, and then that pushed me to like 45,000 in no time at all. And then, it's basically I've just been leapfrogging through from software releases, from Dark Souls to Bloodborne and things like that.
Well,
And
that's incredible.
each
Uh,
release has been pushing it forward.
So this is so cool. So I've noticed that you haven't posted anything in a couple months. Is there a reason for that?
Yeah. In August, my dad passed away, and I tried to keep up with the work, and that was my plan when I got back from the funeral, was basically, I'm just going to bury myself in work. And I did it for about a month, and then I just quit for a while. So,
Well, I'm sorry for your loss. Are you planning on coming back anytime soon?
yeah, I was planning on January, but we'll see. It just basically depends on what's coming out soon.
Okay. So what makes your content unique as opposed to everybody else?
One thing I say about myself, I mean, I'm not really good at pitching myself at all, but I have definitely said this before, that I'm a good content creator, but I'm a really bad YouTuber. So what that means, I definitely put a lot into my editing and my script writing and things like that, and that's what I care about. YouTube doesn't care about those things. They want, videos quickly, as fast as possible, with the highest amount of retention, and people coming to the website as often as possible to see your newest things. And so if you spend any time on, it's definitely a quantity over quality type of thing, so I think that's what makes me unique, I guess, is that I care about those things, even though it's mostly to my detriment
Beautiful.
in the grand scheme of YouTube.
All right. Let me. What you mentioned your ability to be a good content creator. What unique skills or what skills do you have to be able to do that? Are you particularly good at graphic design or what?
I've been told I'm really good at analyzing something, as far as a review, or, looking at a mechanic in a game and seeing that through point of their overall development philosophy, and how that plays through into maybe the story or the game mechanics or whatever. So yeah, I've been told that I'm good at analyzing things. So I guess that's one thing. I mean, the things that I care about are definitely video editing is my favorite part. If I could just get a job as a video editor, I'd probably just do that. But
Now,
I do like writing scripts too, though. So I think those are probably the things that make me successful, I guess.
okay, beautiful. Now you have mentioned that you are or were a journalist in the past. Were you ever trained to be a video editor though, or is that all self-trained?
No, all self-trained.
How did you learn that? Did you just go to YouTube to figure it out?
Yeah, a lot of time. I'd say I went to the school of Google and YouTube for the most part. So yeah, I bought I have the box right over here. It's a Sony Studio Pro or something like that. It's like a $50 editing program. Because when my first video, like the one I said for Skyrim, I was using Windows Movie Maker, and it was just, obviously horrible. And I didn't know at the time. I was just happy to be making videos. Yeah, I bought that for like $50, and then I eventually moved up to Sony Vegas Pro and all that stuff. And yeah, whenever I had a question, or I would see something cool in a video, and I was like, how do they do? I didn't know what green screen meant back in the day. I was like, how do they cut out stuff? So I didn't know what a chroma keyer was. So it was like going to find what that even meant. So yeah, I jump on Google, and then I go try and find a tutorial for it. And then, or if I wanted to figure out how to do slow-mo or speed up a clip, like I didn't even know, all you have to do is hold down control and click on the edge and pull it, and it's like, sometimes there's just nothing to it.
You
But
just blew my mind. I didn't know how to do that.
yeah, it can be something extremely simple. And that was whenever I was like, oh, how do they do that little cool thing? And I just jump on Google or YouTube and find my way to the answer. So yeah, I'm self-taught.
I'm probably not as proactive as I should be. I haven't figured out how to do the green screen yet. So all my videos are filmed in my living room. So I figure out how to pull off the green screen.
It's whatever, man. It doesn't really matter. Green screen or your living room.
All right. So let's talk kind of nuts and bolts of how are you making money as a content creator?
I'll say it's barely from YouTube, as meaning actual video revenue from, AdSense or whatever. I barely make anything from that. I'd say 15% of my yearly income comes from YouTube videos, even though I get, tens of millions of views a year. Most of it is from sponsorships.
Okay. Now, what kinds of sponsors do you have? How did you get your sponsors? I mean, there's a lot of people out there, who have large audiences who haven't figured that part out yet.
It was one of those milestones I was talking about that seemed to happen almost like clockwork. As soon as I hit 100,000 subscribers, I started getting like real sponsorship offers from people just reaching out to me. I've never reached out to anyone. So, whenever I have a sponsorship from Dollar Shave Club or Ubisoft or Perfect World Entertainment or whoever, it's always been, they've just reached out to me randomly. I've never been proactive in that way. So
now, what exactly does a sponsorship agreement entail?
that changes from sponsor to sponsor, but usually I'm very picky with, even though like 8 of my 11 videos last year were sponsored, I'm very picky with them. I probably, honestly, if I could make every single sponsor that came into my inbox and make a video for it, I'd probably make like $60,000 or $70,000 a month. But I turned down a ton of them. Actually, I turned down basically all of them. If there's actually a percentage for it, it would be minuscule. Anyway, so what was the question?
The question was, what do these sponsorships entail? Like, do you have to create content? Do you have to product placement? How do they generally work?
So what I was getting to is that a lot of the reasons I turned down a bunch of those is because, some people are shady, and a lot of the situations they're just not cool, or, back when I first got my first sponsorship offers was before the FTC stepped in and was really regulating things. So, there was a lot of stuff with, people being like, you have to say these words, you have to say you like this, and that stuff doesn't really happen very much anymore. But my point is that I definitely try to go with everything that I think will actually resonate with my audience, that they'll like. I definitely do everything in my power to make sure that I'm following very moral, ethical type of code with everything that I do. So
I'm glad to hear that. There's a lot of shady people out there, like you said.
Yeah, it goes both ways. It's not just the sponsors reaching out. It's also there are a lot of shady YouTubers as well. So yeah, it can change from not person to person, but company to company, and it matters what you're doing exactly. If it's a fully dedicated video or if it's an integration, a lot of the ones I try to take, or a lot of the ones that I even entertain the idea of accepting, are usually give me almost 100% complete control. They're basically just like, here's the product, go say whatever,
Okay. Now, kind of separate but related at the same time, do you do any marketing for your content, or you just put it up on YouTube and hope it goes somewhere?
I used to have a website that I would use and post stuff to that and help boost my videos a little bit by, putting it on like exposure sites and stuff like that. But I haven't done that for like 3 or 4 years. So yeah, I don't do anything. I do zero.
To the point where you don't have to worry about it, huh?
I guess.
Do you have any advice for anybody interested in coming into this world?
For anyone who's starting to grow pretty well and like starting to see exponential growth, and they're like getting to that point where they're, about to pass the threshold of 100,000 or whatever, and they're getting sponsors that are reaching out to them, I would definitely like to give advice on not getting ripped off by these people, because I feel like a lot of YouTubers, there's people who are substantially bigger than I am, and they don't have any clue how much they're worth. And a lot of sponsors or, middlemen marketing companies reach out to them, and they love it when they reach out to these people and they, see a dollar sign, and they sign up immediately, not knowing that they are potentially worth like 10 times that amount, and so that's one thing I would like to talk about is how to
Sure. Do you like to
price
expand on
yourself
that?
essentially.
How would somebody price themselves better?
So basically, I can't get into any of my specifics because of, like contractual
Sure.
obligation. But I can talk about general rules of thumb or, what I would consider an industry standard right now. Basically, the standard for discovering what a sponsorship should be worth to someone would be the rule of thumb is for every expected 1,000 views, you should get $3. So, in other words, for every 100,000 views, your video should get, on average, should be $3,000. So what I do is I take my total view count, which is, I don't know, like 60 something million or something, and divide that across all of my videos, which is only like 120. And I don't remember the exact amount. I just know that my average views per upload is 400 and something thousand. So basically, when someone comes to me and they want a fully integrated video, that's my jumping off point. So it'd be $3,000 times 400,000, or not times that, but average views. So it'd be about $12,000. So that should be your way of gauging what you're worth to them. And trust me, anyone who pulls those type of numbers, they are 100% you're worth it. They want you. So basically if you actually do the math for it, the click-through rate of purchasing on a video is about 2 to 3% or 2 to 4% of the total views. So if you get 100,000 views and 4% of that, if that turns into a $60 buy on a game, that's a lot of money. That's
A lot of money, yeah.
right. So, and then if you turn that into 400,000 views, you're talking hundreds of thousands of dollars that you potentially just made them. And so when you pitch your, $12,000 or 15 or 20, I know that sounds crazy to a lot of people. It blew my mind at first. It sounds obscene, but that's what you're worth. So, I mean, you're making them like 10 times the amount of that. So anyway, I guess my point is that just do the math a little bit. For every 3,000 or for every 100,000 views you're expected to get, you should quote them $3,000. That's for a fully dedicated video.
That's crazy. I mean, when, like you said, when you first kind of got into those kinds of numbers, it blew your mind. How did you work through the process of coming to terms with what you're worth? I want my listeners to understand, you might go from nothing to all of a sudden being worth $10,000 a video.
Yeah. I don't know. I haven't come to terms with it because I live in a 1-bedroom apartment and I have a big bank account. I don't want to sound like an asshole because I really don't care about money and stuff. But to me, it's about not getting ripped off. I want to get what I'm worth, even though I don't care about it. I know it doesn't make any sense. It like contradicts itself. But I don't like the idea of people taking advantage of myself or other people, even though I'm not like I'm not like a gambler. I don't go buy cars or do any of that kind of stuff. I'm not like that kind of YouTuber.
All right.
I don't know. I haven't come to terms with it, I guess. I want to do what I do and I want to make what I should make. And I think that's what's fair. So I guess that's how you come to terms with it is just, I don't know.
Okay. What do you do IRL? Do you have a job? Do you have a 9 to 5?
No, this has been my full-time job, like I said, since 2016.
Do you like wake up some mornings and just like, you go nuts because you can't believe that you have this life now?
Every once in a while, I'm not going to lie. I'll just be sitting there in my chair watching TV or whatever, doing whatever. And I'm just like, this kicks ass.
I mean, that's incredible. Like, because, just, 4 years ago, you went full time on this and all of a sudden you're now sitting around all day.
Yeah. There's this type of freedom to being able to, there are days where I work for my work day, quote unquote, was, 34 hours long because I didn't go to sleep for several days and I worked nonstop to get some deadlines done and stuff like that. But I mean, for the most part, I make my own hours. I go to bed when I want, I get up when I want, and it's hard to get away from that, to go back to a normal 9 to 5, for sure.
Now, let me ask this. Do you think that you're living the dream, or do you still have higher goals?
Oh no, I have higher goals. I mean, to be honest, I am getting somewhat burnt out on YouTube to a degree. I mean, to me, it has a lot to do with my personal life, of probably been able to see that my upload schedule has slowed down significantly. There's a lot of things that I want to still do besides make videos. I love video editing and things like that, but there's definitely times where I don't like the 30-hour crunches and stuff like that to try and meet sponsorship deadlines and things like that. I definitely want to make some games and things like that. I've been designing a board game for the last, well, it's been for like a year, but in the last 3 months, that's actually what I've been doing with my off time since after the funeral and stuff like that. I got back and started really diving into a board game I've been designing.
That's cool. Like, what is it? Are you willing to reveal it?
No,
Okay.
this is actually the first time I've mentioned it publicly at all. So.
All right. Well, I'm looking forward to hearing more about it. Let's switch gears a little bit. We've kind of been talking the heady business stuff. Let's talk about you kind of as a person, as a gamer. When did you first start playing video games?
My first memories that I've actually retained are like being around the corner from where I was a kid at the babysitter, playing like Duck Hunt and Mario on the NES and stuff like that. So I mean, I was probably like 4, late 80s, basically playing Nintendo. I don't remember an exact time of when that started, but I definitely remember we used to have this like little entertainment stand on wheels, and it had our Nintendo on it. And I remember being a little kid trying to get behind that, figure out all the RCAs and not understanding how to plug in the Nintendo to play it and stuff like that. So, I mean, it's been quite a while.
So you're probably about as old as I am then.
Yeah, 85.
All right. I was born in 86. You're a little older than I am.
Yeah.
So all-time favorite game then?
Well, I got to give it to Dark Souls 1.
I have played it. I gave it 2 attempts, and I got to the first skeleton, and it said you died, and I quit both times.
That's a lot of people's story. You just went the wrong direction. You were supposed to go right instead of left.
Oh, that was what it was. Oh, thank you. Maybe I'll take it back up then.
Should give it another try.
Sure. Are there any games coming out that you're looking forward to?
Man, the first quarter of this year is littered with great games. Resident Evil 3, Neo 2.
Okay. I want to do something now real quick, if you're okay with this. But you've told us all the things that you've been doing, on the success that you've had. But if it's all right, I'd like to humble you for just a second and ask you something that you've failed at in life, not necessarily as a content creator. My goal is to show that, you can be a big person, lots of followers, lots of subscribers, and still have screwed things up royally at some point. Do you have one of those moments?
I'm a cliche art school dropout. Does that count?
Sure. You went to art school. What for? Like
studio art.
Studio art.
Yeah, so painting on canvas and illustration.
Okay, and do you still do that?
No.
Okay.
I found that that was sort of my thing with video editing. Is I was like, oh, I like this way more than I ever liked putting paint on canvas.
Do you think you make more money now than you ever would have if you'd followed the artistic path?
Probably. I have no clue though, but more than likely, yes.
Well, in that case, your failure turned out to be a great thing for you.
I guess.
As long as you
enjoy a hard time though.
I guess, right?
What's that?
As long as you enjoy what you do.
Yeah. No, I do, and I'm grateful for being able to do what I do. But yeah, dropping out of college was tough. It was also, I'm sure you know that it was, if you add the years up, that was right at the recession. So it was like I was also basically unable to get a job. And that's why I couldn't even get a job stocking shelves at Home Depot. I literally put in every single application I could, hundreds of them all over the place. Couldn't get a job anywhere. And I'm just like, I know I'm not stupid and I'm physically strong. I don't understand why I can't get a job. No one really at the time really understood exactly what was going on with the job market and the recession and all that stuff. But I
I
just thought it was a problem with me.
I
So
absolutely understand. I know my parents were harping on me because I graduated in 2008, right during the recession. And I
right.
put in applications all over town. And then I put in an application, the store go out of business like 3 days later. So
Yeah.
I ended up going to law school because I couldn't find anything. So let's talk about the community, the community that you have built. You have a lot of subscribers. So I'm assuming you get a lot of comments and you got a lot of interaction with your viewers. What's the nicest thing anyone's ever said to you?
I wrote a lore video for Dark Souls on Artorias that I get a lot of comments about, people literally saying that I made them cry. So to be able to evoke that type of emotional response through written words and the way I edited things, I think that's extremely special. I sure as hell never got anyone to cry by looking at one of my paintings.
Oh, that's beautiful. On the flip side, what's the worst thing or the worst trolling you've ever gotten?
I don't really engage with that type of stuff. I've gotten really horrible comments, but
Okay. In that, we'll switch up then. How do you push through? You read this horrible thing, and how do you not let it affect you?
I don't know. I've just always been that way. Like with kids in school or any of that type of stuff, it's just always rolled right off of me. Those things, I might get 10,000 positive comments, and then there's that one that's really mean or whatever, and those definitely stick out. But for the most part, I just don't engage with it, or I don't know. I just chalk it up as ignorance and
All
walk
right.
away.
So you're a big timer on YouTube. I know there's people bigger than you, but honestly, there's a lot of people a lot smaller than you. Are you engaged or are you familiar with the community of content creators at all?
Yeah. I'm not actually a YouTube watcher, not really. I watch some of my friends' stuff and things like that, but other than that, I'm not like my wife will get on. She's a couple years younger than me, and she'll just get on YouTube, and watch stuff instead of watching TV. And to me, that's like, I'm just like, nah. But yeah, I watch some stuff, but for the most part, as far as like a community with YouTubers, I wouldn't say it's through YouTube in any way. It's like it's grown through YouTube. Like I keep in contact with people that I've met at conventions or that I've met at, when Bandai Namco's like, hey, come out and check out the new Dark Souls game, and they invite all of the Dark Souls community members, and we all talk to each other and stuff like that. So I still communicate with them through, direct messages through Twitter and things like that, or we hang out and play games or things like that. But for me personally, none of that stuff's public. I'm not that type of, I haven't been in one of my own videos in like 4 years, and it's not even public anymore. So I'm not into the whole sharing things publicly at all. So I
Okay.
don't know. My
I
community
really
means
do
something to
appreciate you coming on and talking to us. I mean, for those of you listening, I reached out to Steve only 2 days ago, and you said yes and scheduled with me yesterday, and here we are. So I really do appreciate this, Steve.
Yeah, no problem, no problem.
So, what do you think the biggest problem the YouTube, I don't want to say community, but the pool of everybody on YouTube has?
I think it goes back to what I was saying about reviewing games and stuff like that. I really dislike hate culture, but at the same time, I love it. Like I love H3H3 and things like that, but because at least he seems to usually have the moral high ground. There's so much of that type of stuff of people just hating on each other, and it also really me off that it's super successful. So it's just, there's ways that I know I could grow my channel substantially faster and do different things and take on different practices, but I kind of choose to refrain from doing that. But it's a bit of a pain in the ass when you watch other people getting very successful from something that I think is wrong, I guess.
Okay. I have a, don't sell yourself short. You know, by the average standard, you're very, very successful.
I mean, I'm happy. So I think that's really,
Hey, that's all that really matters in life, as long as you're happy, right?
right.
Okay, Steve, thank you so much. How do people find you? How do they like follow you, subscribe to you? Where can they find you? What's your handle?
I don't have many. I'm not one of those dudes who's all over socials. I just have Twitter and I have YouTube, and you can find me at TerraMantis. That's it.
Beautiful. All right, Steve, is there anything else we didn't talk about you'd like to contribute?
I thought we covered some pretty good ground.
All right. In that case, Steve, thank you so much for coming on. You know, you really did give some great advice today, and we really do appreciate it.
Oh, it's great being here, Brad. Thanks a lot.
All right. In that case, you all take it easy, everybody. Hey, if you like this podcast, I'd love to invite you to check out a little bit more about me, Dr. Bradford Carlton, the Gamerpreneur. If you go to my website, www.thegamerpreneur.com/bonus, I'm going to give you a free copy of my book, The Warcraft of Business, where I explain my history in both gaming and business and how I brought the two together in order to create some very successful companies and help a lot of people. And all you got to do is pay for shipping and processing, and I'll send you this book. I absolutely know you're going to love it. All right, you all take it easy.